is CBS News Miami.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. I'm Naja Sherman, and welcome to CBS News Miami's 4 p.m. Quickcast. Let's take a look at today's top stories. We are hours away from the deadline to get a real ID. Without one, you won't be able to fly within the U.S. Tomorrow's deadline could give passengers even more travel trouble, and that's as one of the country's busiest airports continues to deal with chaos and frustration over hundreds of canceled flights. CBS News Miami's Chris Van Cleve has the details.
9 days of travel misery as hours-long delays and cancellations continue to pile up at Newark Airport due to an FAA staffing nightmare.
We've gotten 3 delays so far, but we're not set to take off for a couple hours.
After a number of outages at a key FAA facility handling traffic coming in and out of Newark, controllers' screens essentially went blank, leaving them unable to communicate or track flights for at least 30 seconds, according to the Department of Transportation.
Were planes going to crash? No, they have communication devices. They can see other air traffic like GPS in the airplanes. But it's a sign that we have a frail system in place, and it has to be fixed.
It was a breaking point for about a half dozen controllers who sought trauma leave due to the working conditions. How concerned are you about the health of the air traffic control system?
We had 7 flights yesterday delayed for over 3 hours in Newark. Fly at least 10 times a day into Newark. Those are significant. It's a very difficult customer experience to have 3-hour delays.
Alaska Airlines CEO Ben Menacucci Monday.
We have to be very vigilant with these issues and stay on top of it and communicate with the FAA and hopefully mitigate it. We don't want to fly if there's any question whether safety is going to be put at risk. So what you do is you slow things down. You slow things down so you can operate safely. But those delays are just too long.
This group of friends stranded in Newark are hoping their 6th try will be the flight that actually takes them home to LA.
We're supposed to be at work tomorrow.
With no passports and non-compliant driver's licenses, they worry Wednesday's Real ID deadline could be another travel trouble.
That's going to put us in a pickle if we don't get back home soon.
Real ID enforcement begins Wednesday. You will need a compliant ID or a passport to get through airport security. If you have a legacy ID that is not compliant, TSA says be at the airport early, perhaps up to 3 hours before a domestic flight, because you will receive additional screening. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy plans to announce his plan for modernizing air traffic control on Thursday as long delays due to the staffing issue at Newark continue. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Seattle.
Always alerting, always tracking. This is Next Weather.
A hot and humid day across South Florida. Shane, it is muggy out there.
Oh, it's summer. Is that you? Because let me tell you, Naja, I went for a midday run and I regretted it. But you know what? It sure is beautiful. We can show you here from our next weather sphere. Let's go ahead and open up the windows here and show you what I'm talking about. Beautiful blue waters from our downtown Miami camera. And most of us not only soaking in those beautiful blue skies and taking in those blue waters, but also tracking a fairly quiet radar for us. But I want to talk about what it feels like across South Florida. Goodness gracious, this looks like summer kind of temperatures right now. It feels like it's 94 in Key West. Zooming in here, 94 is what it also feels like in Pembroke Pines, 93 in Kendall, 91 in Miami, and 90 is what it feels like in Fort Lauderdale. Now, we are seeing a few showers on the radar, but most of the activity is out toward our west, where we could see maybe some strong storms. Over the Everglades, you're seeing just a few isolated thunderstorms, not impacting our areas like Weston. Like y'all saw a downpour and deluge of rain yesterday. As we make our way down to the Keys, we do have a few light sprinkles in between Islamorada and Long Key, but overall it's a mostly dry forecast for the rest of the evening. I'll give a 10% chance for those of you who are maybe going out to dine. Temperatures in the lower 80s on the thermometer, but I can assure you it will feel muggier than that. Tomorrow morning it'll be a mild start to the day on the thermometer in the mid 70s for most, maybe even upper 70s in the Keys, but just keep in mind that with the humidity it's going to be a bit of a sticky start. We're holding on to the humidity for quite some time. Here's a look what it'll look like on the thermometer for tomorrow. Temperatures in Fort Lauderdale, I think you could even maybe make it up to 87 degrees, honestly. 87 in Plantation, Davie, and Cooper City, 88 in Southwest Ranches. Down in Miami-Dade County, I think we'll also be hovering around 87 on the thermometer in Miami. Kendall, Country Walk, Redland, maybe even trending a little bit warmer than that at 88. And if you live on Key Biscayne, 80 degrees for you folks. As we make our way down to the Keys, I do see lower to mid 80s across the board. And unfortunately, we're going to be holding on to afternoon highs like this throughout really the next at least 5 days. I do eventually see some slightly lower temperatures, but also slightly higher humidity levels as we head toward the weekend and beginning of next week, as our rain chances are on the rise. So unfortunately, you're not going to get any relief from Mother Nature in regard to the humidity, but if we're looking for a bright side, at least you don't have to use as much moisturizer in the morning, okay? Rainfall chances, they are slowly trending upward, but we have some changes based off of what we were tracking yesterday. What are those? Well, still looking like we'll now have isolated rain chances for the end of the work week, but our rain chances over Mother's Day weekend have lowered slightly. I still think we could see some isolated to scattered storms, but now it looks like the system that was bringing the rain has slowed down a bit, and that has elevated our rain chances from Monday into Tuesday. So your 7-day forecast looks just like this. Afternoon highs in the upper 80s throughout the next several days, and as we ride toward Mother's Day, 30% chance for storms on Mother's Day itself, but a 40 to 60% chance for the first half of next week. Naja.
All right, thanks for the latest. Governor Ron DeSantis plans to sign a statewide ban on fluoride in drinking water into law. He made the announcement in Miami today. It's just hours after Miami-Dade County Commissioners voted to override Mayor Daniela Levine Cava's veto to the county plan. It's been controversial because some health professionals, residents, and politicians believe adding fluoride is a good thing. They say it helps prevent tooth decay. New details this afternoon on a tragic bear attack in southwest Florida. It ended in the death of an elderly man and his dog. Officials say 89-year-old Robert Markle and his dog were both found dead at a home. It was in a rural area east of Naples Monday morning. The gruesome discovery came after the man's daughter reported them missing. Officials are now doing DNA testing to determine if a bear they captured in the area last night was the one responsible for the attack.
10 officers on scene, securing the perimeter. They're armed with bear aversion guns and lethal force if needed. That's obviously the last resort. But our number one issue that we wanted to address was the public safety.
This incident marks the first deadly bear attack on a human in the state since record-keeping began. President Trump met with Canada's new prime minister at the White House this afternoon. Both leaders struck a friendly tone. That's despite increased tension in a recent month over tariffs and calls for Canada to become the 51st state. CBS News Miami's Tareen Small has the details.
I love Canada.
Sitting next to Canada's new Prime Minister, Mark Carney, in the Oval Office, President Trump said he has a lot of respect for Canadians, but he won't back down when it comes to tariffs.
We want to make our own cars. We don't really want cars from Canada. We really don't want Canadian steel, and we don't want Canadian aluminum and various other things, because we want to be able to do it ourselves. U.S.-Canadian relations have been strained since 25% tariffs on some Canadian goods went into effect in March. During Tuesday's meeting, the president also called the U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade agreement, which he signed in this first term, a transition deal, and raised the possibility of renegotiating it, something Canada's new leader signaled he's open to.
It is a basis for a broader negotiation. Some things about it are going to have to change.
Canadians elected Carney last week, in part because of his pledge to stand firm against President Trump. And stand firm is exactly what he tried to do when the president once again floated the idea of Canada becoming the 51st state.
It's not for sale, won't be for sale, ever.
But President Trump remained undeterred.
I say never. I've had many things that were not doable, and they ended up being doable, and only doable in a very friendly way. Despite any differences, President Trump pledged the U.S. will always have Canada's back, at least in one regard, militarily. Torian Small, CBS News, the White House.
When we come back, how all the leftover food from the Miami Grand Prix will help feed local families in need. Nearly 300,000 people attended Formula One over the weekend, and Hard Rock Stadium had to be prepared to feed all of them. But what happens with the food that is not used? CBS News Miami's Morgan Reiner got an inside look at the breakdown process.
Formula One is over, but the work here at Hard Rock Stadium just getting started. There are truckloads full of food leaving the stadium today to go to local charities across South Florida.
The sprint in Miami is underway.
But as you can imagine, doing 275,000 people over 3 days, it's quite a bit.
Preparing for Formula One is like prepping for the Super Bowl 3 days in a row.
We start going into what we refer to as dynamic planning, which is how much food we order, how much we prep for an event like this scale.
This being the 4th Formula One race at Hard Rock Stadium.
So our numbers continue to get a lot better from the sustainability portion. There's not a lot of overspending, and like I said, there's not a lot of wasteful spending or food that's here at the end of the race.
Every bit of food that's not used has a place to go.
Today we're here at the Hard Rock Stadium collecting food.
Larita Santa Catarina is the site coordinator for Food Rescue US in South Florida.
We help coordinate with multiple social service agencies that are in Miami-Dade and Broward counties.
Because she said the need for food in the community is great.
We work with a lot of pantries and social service agencies, and these pantries we're noticing getting calls that their shelves are empty, that either having a hard time keeping food in the pantry shelves, and a lot of that is due to the grocery prices are high, and so the need for donations is greater than ever.
So 80 to 100,000 pounds worth of food will go a long way.
Well, translates to about 75,000 to 90,000 meals.
5 trucks are leaving Hard Rock Stadium today, but it doesn't stop there. They will continue filling up trucks over the coming days until every ounce of food that can be used is used. At Hard Rock Stadium, Morgan Reiner, CBS News, Miami.
And that does it for your CBS News Miami Quickcast. I'm Naja Sherman. Stay tuned for more news right here on CBS News Miami, and have a great day.